Horror remakes. Just the phrase can make any horror fan's eyes roll, right? It's almost a running joke in the horror community. Every time a new remake is announced, you can practically hear the collective groan echoing through the internet. We've all been there, scrolling through movie news, only to see another beloved classic is getting the modern update treatment. It's enough to make you want to hide behind your popcorn and hope for the best. I get it. Remakes usually have a bad rep, like, do we really need another take on the classics? There's a certain magic to the originals, a rawness and charm that's hard to replicate. Sometimes it feels like studios are just cashing in on nostalgia, hoping to lure in both old fans and a new generation. And let's be honest, for every great remake there are a dozen that miss the mark completely, leaving us wishing they'd just left well enough alone. But here's the thing. Sometimes a remake doesn't just match the original, it cranks up the fear to a whole new level. It takes what worked, dials it up, and adds a fresh twist that makes you see the story in a whole new terrifying light. The best remakes don't just copy, they reinvent, reimagine, and sometimes they even outdo the films that inspired them. It's like they take the DNA of the original and mutate it into something even more monstrous. Today, I'm counting down 10 horror movie remakes that, in my opinion, are actually scarier than the originals. These are the films that made me sleep with the lights on, double-check the locks, and question every creak in the house. Will I survive the list? Guess we'll find out together. So grab your flashlight, maybe a friend to hold on to, and let's dive into the darkness. Kicking things off, The Ring. Now, the Japanese original, Ringu, is a masterpiece in its own right. It's subtle, atmospheric, and deeply unsettling. But when Gore Verbinski brought the story to American audiences in 2002, he didn't just translate it, he transformed it. The cursed videotape became a cultural phenomenon, and the imagery, those flickering, distorted images, the well, the static, burned themselves into our collective nightmares. The Japanese original is legendary, but Gore Verbinski's 2002 American version, that cursed tape, the dripping wet ghosts, the way it just seeps under your skin, it's nightmare fuel in high definition. Naomi Watts delivers a performance that's both vulnerable and determined, and the film's pacing is relentless. Every time you think you're safe, another jarring image or eerie sound pulls you right back into the terror. And let's not forget Samara. Her slow, unnatural crawl out of the television is one of the most iconic horror moments of the 21st century. The Ring didn't just scare us, it changed the way we looked at technology, at urban legends, and at the very idea of what could follow us home from the screen. Next up, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003. The original 1974 film is a gritty, low-budget classic that shocked audiences with its raw brutality and documentary-style realism, but the 2003 remake took that foundation and built something even more intense. From the opening scene, you know you're in for a ride. Everything is slicker, meaner, and more relentless. The original was gritty, but this remake? It's more brutal, more intense, and Leatherface has never looked more horrifying. I still can't hear a chainsaw without getting chills. The violence is unflinching, the atmosphere is suffocating, and the sense of hopelessness is almost overwhelming. Jessica Biel's performance as the final girl is both fierce and desperate, and the film's relentless pace never lets you catch your breath. The remake doesn't just pay homage to the original, it drags it, screaming, into the modern era and dares you to look away. A Nightmare on Elm Street got a 2010 update, and while Freddy Krueger will always be iconic, the remake's dream sequences are pure, uncut terror. The original introduced us to the concept of a killer who could get you in your sleep, but the remake takes that idea and runs with it, creating dreamscapes that are even more surreal and disturbing. The line between reality and nightmare blurs until you're not sure what's real anymore. The effects are wild, and the story just grabs you by the throat. Jackie Earle Haley's take on Freddy is darker, more menacing, and less campy than Robert Englund's original portrayal. The film explores the psychological trauma of its characters in a way that feels raw and real, making the horror hit even harder. The nightmares are more vivid, the kills more inventive, and the sense of dread is ever present. It's a remake that respects its roots while carving out its own terrifying identity. The Others, from 2001, brought gothic horror into the 21st century. While not a direct remake, it draws heavy inspiration from classic haunted house tales like The Innocents and Turn of the Screw, reimagining them for a modern audience. Nicole Kidman's performance is haunting, and the film's slow-burn approach to horror is masterful. The suspense, the twists, that oppressive atmosphere, you feel trapped in that haunted house right along with the characters. Every shadow seems to hide a secret, every creak of the floorboards makes your heart race. The film's use of light and darkness is brilliant, creating a sense of claustrophobia and paranoia that never lets up. And when the final twist is revealed, it recontextualizes everything you've seen, making you want to watch it all over again with new eyes. Then there's The Uninvited, the 2009 remake of Korea's A Tale of Two Sisters. The original is a psychological labyrinth, blending family drama with supernatural horror. The remake takes those elements and streamlines them, creating a film that's both accessible and deeply unsettling. Even if you know the story, the way it's reimagined will still mess with your head. The film plays with your expectations, leading you down one path before pulling the rug out from under you. The performances are strong, the visuals are striking, and the sense of unease builds steadily until it's almost unbearable. It's a film that lingers in your mind, making you question what's real and what's imagined. How about The Strangers from 2008? While not a direct remake, it's heavily inspired by earlier home invasion films like Them and the Manson family murders. It takes the familiar setup, a couple terrorized in their own home, and strips it down to its most primal elements. It's a terrifying home invasion story, and this remake dials up the tension so much, I found myself holding my breath for half the movie. The masked intruders are faceless, motiveless, and utterly relentless, making them all the more terrifying. The film's use of silence and stillness is masterful, creating a sense of dread that builds with every passing minute. It's a reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones who could be waiting just outside your door. The Babadook's 2014 remake, yeah, you heard me right. While the original Australian film is already a modern classic, the remake takes its themes of grief and motherhood and amplifies them, creating a horror experience that's both deeply personal and universally terrifying. It takes everything eerie and unsettling about the original, and adds an emotional punch that lingers long after the credits roll. The Babadook itself is a masterclass in creature design, and the film's exploration of mental illness and trauma is both sensitive and unflinching. It's a horror film that makes you feel as much as it makes you scream, and that's a rare feat. The Devil's Rejects in 2005 continued the mayhem of House of 1000 Corpses, but it's even more disturbing with more gore and intensity. Rob Zombie's vision is unapologetically brutal, pushing the boundaries of what horror can be. The film's villains are charismatic and terrifying, blurring the line between protagonist and antagonist. If you thought the original was rough, get ready for a wild ride. The violence is graphic, the tension is unbearable, and the sense of moral ambiguity leaves you questioning your own sympathies. It's a film that doesn't just want to scare you, it wants to challenge you, to make you confront the darkest parts of human nature. Carrie's 2013 remake kept the classic's essence but set it against a modern backdrop, making the bullying and terror feel even more real. Chloe Grace Moretz brings a new vulnerability to the role, and the film's exploration of social media and cyberbullying adds a contemporary edge. And when Carrie unleashes her power, absolutely chilling. The prom scene is a masterclass in escalating horror, building from awkwardness to humiliation to full-blown chaos. The special effects are top-notch and the emotional stakes are higher than ever. It's a remake that honors the original while carving out its own place in horror history. Rounding out the list is Evil Dead from 2013. The original was a cult classic, known for its campy humor and over-the-top gore. But the remake takes a different approach, stripping away the laughs and doubling down on the horror. The original was campy and fun, but this remake, it's relentless. No laughs, just pure blood-soaked terror from start to finish. The practical effects are jaw-dropping, the violence is unflinching, and the sense of dread is palpable. It's a film that grabs you by the throat and doesn't let go until the credits roll. If you thought you knew what to expect, think again. This is Evil Dead for a new generation, and it's not pulling any punches. Bonus shout-out to The Fly, 1986. David Cronenberg's remake of the 1958 classic is a masterclass in body horror, taking the basic premise and pushing it to its grotesque, heartbreaking limits. Jeff Goldblum's performance is both tragic and terrifying, and the film's practical effects are still unmatched. David Cronenberg's take is body horror at its finest. The transformation scenes are sickeningly real, but what really gets me is the tragic love story at the heart of all that ooze and gore. It's a film that's as much about loss and humanity as it is about monsters, and that's what makes it truly unforgettable. The Fly isn't just a great remake, it's one of the greatest horror films ever made, period. So, what do these remakes prove? Sometimes with a bold new vision and modern effects, you really can outscare the classics. It's not about erasing the originals, they'll always have their place in horror history. But when a remake is done right, it can introduce a whole new generation to the power of fear, and remind longtime fans why they fell in love with horror in the first place. These films show that horror is a living, breathing genre, one that's always evolving, always finding new ways to get under our skin. Did I miss your favorite horror remake? Think one of these doesn't deserve the crown? Let's talk about it in the comments. I want to hear your picks, your hot takes, and your horror stories. After all, the best part of being a horror fan is sharing the scares and the debates with each other. So don't be shy, drop your thoughts below, and let's keep the conversation going. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more horror deep dives, because trust me, I'm just getting started. There are so many more terrifying tales to explore, so many more remakes to dissect, and so many more sleepless nights ahead. Sleep tight, if you can. And remember, in the world of horror, the only thing scarier than the monsters on screen is missing out on the next big scare. Until next time, keep the lights on and the popcorn ready.